Welcome to another special Game of the Year podcast from GamesBeat Decides. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb. With me is...
Rachel Kaiser.
Mike Minotti.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You're not forgiven.
Yeah, listen, you already ruined the show, but whatever. And then, Dean, now's your chance to ruin the show.
All right. Well, we are having our GamesBeat Summit event on January 25th through January 27th. The first day is all about Facebook things. The second and third days are all about the metaverse. And we got some stellar speakers for that. We have 48 sessions altogether, 120 plus speakers. We have a Women in Gaming breakfast on the 27th. And that's going to be very cool. We also have
give the URL a couple times so people can like look it up if they're interested. If you already got them, it's at events.venturebeat.com, and we'll say it a couple more times.
All right, yeah, great. And we have like the CEO of Roblox, Dave Baszucki, speaking, the CTO of Epic Games, Kim Libreri, who made a cameo appearance in the Matrix Resurrections movie, Matthew Ball from Apillion, and Anna Sweet from Bad Robot Games. Phil Rosedale, who recently has sort of rejoined the Second Life folks at the Linden Lab, the company that he founded, ex-NBA player Rick Fox, and so quite a crowd. All of them very well versed in metaverse matters. So.
Yeah, so tune into that if you want. Go to events.venturebeat.com. You can register for the event right now. That's at events.venturebeat.com. Okay. So here's how this is going to work, everybody. Oh, do you have something to say now, Mike?
No, I do not.
Thank you.
I was just marveling at the chemistry between you two.
Listen, we run a tight ship here, and it doesn't matter if there's no chemistry. All right, let's see.
I thought there was chemistry.
Thank you, Rachel. Rachel, you saved the show.
There's a point where Jeff's like, why don't you talk about this instead? And then D literally said, great. And the most, fuck you, shut up, I'm talking energy I've ever heard in my life. And I loved it.
I mean, to be fair, Dean does know more than all of us.
Yeah, and he does. He's always saying that with his eyes. I see it all the time. Okay, here's how this is going to work. We all have our top fives. We have a bunch of categories. We have more categories than we have of our top five. So we're going to like try to sprinkle these in as we go. But we're going to go like one game at a time and then a category and stuff like that. But we have some categories here, and not everyone has an answer for everything. So I figured maybe we could start with some of these bonus ones. Let's see here. I stole these from the film cast, which I know stole them from another one, but I like this one. A game we didn't get, and then game everyone else didn't get. And these are like, however you want to define that. However, like, and like, for example, Dean put here God of War Ragnarok. I could see that, but Dean, no one got that yet. So like, what do you mean there?
I think Dean literally meant a game that was delayed, which I also
that's fair. That's how we define it. Yeah, so okay, yeah. So if
unless you mean you don't get the hype for Ragnarok,
I think
you don't understand it as opposed to we didn't actually get it.
I think he means like, you don't understand me, Mom. You don't get me, Dad.
Exactly.
Like,
that's how I meant it.
I don't get it.
Like,
I don't get it.
Like I don't like everyone else likes it, but I don't get it. And the other one is game everyone else didn't get. Game I really like that no one else fully got. So here I'll do mine first. Let's see here. For game I didn't get, it was that Hot Wheels game. Because everyone was saying like this is like the best like new racer. Well, I'm talking about Cruise and Blast all the time, and I'm like, okay, well I can't wait to go play Hot Wheels as well. And then I went to go play it, and I'm like, I don't know, it feels kind of slow and not very fun. And
is this really just about how you're still upset that Cruise and Blast isn't getting enough love? Is that what this is about? In fact, is Cruise and Blast just your answer for game everyone else didn't get?
We don't have to be like exposing ulterior motives here, Mike. We don't have to like go.
Well, if they exist, we do.
Let me see. I actually can't remember what I put for my game that everyone else didn't get. Let's see. Oh, actually, I did. I put Hitman 3 because even though that game like gets some love, it doesn't get enough love. If
no, you're right.
Love.
Like that's an all-time like great game. You're right, and people are like, it was pretty good. People are acting like it was like that third Tomb Raider game, right?
Right, and it almost makes me want to be like a gatekeepy asshole, be like, you're playing it wrong. You're just playing it wrong. You're not playing it right. But it's people are like, oh, you're just supposed to like play through like a single player camp. Like, no, you got to replay these levels and try different stuff and get weird with it.
I think it's pretty fun, even if you do just play through it as a single player thing.
Absolutely, but it but that's because like if you're like willing to get creative on the first time through and stuff, and everyone's like, I'm just gonna do the simplest thing in front of me, and I don't know. That's my answer for those. Does anyone else want to go? Who else has a game that we didn't get?
I mean, Go ahead, Dean.
Mine would be more like Deathloop then, which I already dissed in the last podcast. But yeah, just
That's a good answer from us.
Each sort of iteration or each loop, I felt like it could have been more fun and could have been more fun as a shooter, and so I didn't feel the motivation to just keep on going.
I kind of get you. I liked Deathloop, but I was a little relatively down on it compared to some people for sure. So I'm actually with you on that one. I think I do like it ultimately more than you do, but I wasn't as blown away by it as some people were. I think
a lot of people agree with you guys. I think a lot of people agree with you guys, and not like I think the majority of people seem to like it, but there is an audience out there that had that same response. Rachel, you got an answer to this one?
For a game we didn't get.
Either of these, for either or both.
I have an answer for both, but since we're talking about games we didn't get, I mean maybe I assume everyone liked this game more than I did was Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1.
Okay.
Because I didn't like that it was kind of trying to become more of a and this is going to sound hypocritical considering how much I like this. I like Life is Strange: True Colors. It's trying to become a little too much Life is Strange, if you know what I mean. It's going for it's changing the aesthetic in a certain way, and also I'm not a fan of like why we're incorporating like creepy like fake Watson, not Watson here. Like, what is the point of this? Are we really can we really not let Sherlock Holmes stand in a game on his own? And it has disturbing implications. But anyway, I saw a lot of people talking about how it was like some sort of positive evolution in the Frogware series, and I just thought, I didn't know. I thought like previous games in the series were better and had more of an identity.
No, that's a fair answer. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, there's two big ones. Returnal is the first one that everybody was really gung-ho about. It's been showing up on a lot of Game of the Year like
as it shows up on more Game of the Year list. I'm more in the I don't get it camp.
Yeah, like I mean that's the thing. It's like I don't get it, but like I feel like I get it. But I don't know. It was definitely pretty, and some of the mechanics were fun. But I thought in terms of progression which is so important in these kind of games, I just didn't find the progression very satisfying or interesting. But even more so, I might even put Death's Door above.
Yeah.
Oh, the chat is gonna just eat you alive, man.
Game, and I think it is so. It seems so basic for one of these kind of top-down actiony games. Like I feel like Bastion had a lot more going on than this, and like they throw in like a grappling hook, and then all of a sudden people are like, it's a Zelda-like. I'm like, man, this is nothing like Zelda. This has nothing to do with Zelda. So I don't know. It looks very good. And it's like mechanically sound. Like even my praise for it sounds damning. I don't know. I don't understand. And then like it seems like it should be a Souls-like, and it has some of those mechanics, but then it actually isn't one of those. So I find the game. I feel like I'm missing something, even though I'm pretty sure I do understand it. So, but yeah, even like someone in the chat's like, "We get it, Mike. You don't like Zelda games. Like, how is this like a Zelda game? Except for the fact it's like top down. You have a sword. Then there's also a grappling hook. And nothing about it. It feels like Zelda at all to me, especially like the older ones like Link to the Past, which I love.
And then one versus CPU here says it's basically Link to the Past. So.
Right. Like Link to the Past, like feels like an Uncharted game compared to this in terms of like pacing. I don't know. It's just a little too slow for me.
Let me. I'll go with another game everyone else didn't get, and then everyone else could do theirs. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart somehow. And maybe this is just our chat, but I don't think so.
It's just our chat because it was one of the few that still got nominated for DICE.
That's true. It got nominated. It was like in the top 5 at like Kind of Funnies. No, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
9 nominations.
Yeah, but it does feel like there is this weird like its stock has somehow like been lowered in this weird way that I don't understand. Because I watched the speed run of it at Games That Quick. I was looking, man, this game is great. It is still by far probably the best looking game we have gotten this generation. Probably will for a while, and it was a lot of fun. And the criticisms people have of it are just so bizarre. It's like it's just the Ratchet Clank game. Ratchet Clank games are fun.
It's too fun in the way that it's always been fun. It's like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
No, I love it.
The story is kiddie. Well, guess what? Kids can play video games.
Yeah, and it's
what's wrong with that?
It's charming and well done.
Yeah.
All right, Dean, do you have an answer to this one? The game that everyone else didn't get that you got.
Well, I guess I could say Call of Duty Vanguard.
Go for it. Yeah,
I will
say it.
accept that answer. Yeah.
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 I mean, even if
I
you're
mean,
talking about Call of
I
Duty fans, I'd be interested to hear what
I
you
think
mean.
Call of Duty fans even didn't like it because they love Modern Warfare now.
Right.
I think Modern Warfare stood out so much as a good game a couple of years ago that they kind of got spoiled by it, and they got spoiled by like all the guns in it and all the cool things that you can do with those guns. And then you go back to World War II guns, and it's like no fun anymore, right? And so I'm a bit sad because I did get. I do like the World War II games. I don't mind going back to the old guns. I find in Warzone on the World War II Caldera map that it is fairly weird to have modern attachments on my World War II weapons. And so
Right.
like you can get these modern electronic gun sights on your your German MG42 machine gun.
Yeah, that's
And,
weird.
That's just a little weird for me. I'd be perfectly happy without that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna use it if it's there because everybody else is using it.
Let's see.
yeah.
Rachel, do you want to go for this category?
Game everyone else didn't get. Well, this one is kind of like a hybrid of like a game that I don't know if anyone else liked, and also I didn't see anyone else talking about it when it came out last year. I kind of want to just unblack it and see you guys' reactions to it before I say what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Let's see. I think I'll just click on it, and I think it'll show up in the thing up there. So. Okay. Incredible. We've done it.
Should I
All
say
right.
it? Should I say
it? Yeah. I don't just
Honey
wait.
Pop
Dean,
2.
Dean, do you know what Honey Pop is?
Yes. Oh, Dean.
Let's have Rachel explain while I hide my face and try not to blush.
Honey Pop is a match 3 game with tits.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
There it
Google
is.
it.
I'm gonna go to
Google
Google.
it.
No!
Yes, Google it, Dean.
Use your private browser.
I like
God.
here's the thing. First of all, I actually like match 3 games. I like
Sure.
casual puzzlers. So when I played the first Honey Pop game, I was sort of when I went into it sort of, I got it as a gag gift, and I was like, hey, I'm actually kind of enjoying the silliness of this. This is not like a game that is legitimately trying to stoke your fancy, let us say. But it's not. But it's also a game that is like just leaning into the whole like, hey, we're gonna show like some crazy like pornographic art, and you're gonna love it. And I just thought it was so fucking funny. I just laughed so hard playing that game. And then Honey Pop 2 comes around, and it basically is like going even further in the silly territory, and I was just laughing the whole time. I was having so much fun for just playing Honey Pop 2. And it was just so I go in there as like, oh, did anyone else like Honey Pop 2? No. I'm like, why? What's the? I mean, are we that uncomfortable with
Well, yes, of course we are. Yeah.
having threesomes with
Look,
cartoon ladies?
I never thought I was going to talk about plays. This is the reason why I had to hide when Discord says I'm playing a game. Was because of Honey Pop. But I thought Honey Pop was fun.
I was giving my fiance like updates the whole time. It's like, you will never believe what I just did in Honey Pop.
Yeah. All right, Rachel. Who's your Honey Pop best girl then?
We don't talk about this stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Apparently we do now.
We have tons of
It's
shame.
okay. This is my only. I promise, Dean, it gets much better after this.
Erogi beat. No, I want to know who's your favorite Honey Pop girl, Rachel. Now we're doing this.
Oh, Jessie.
Oh, interesting. You like the ex-porn star.
What's
Well,
wrong? Yeah, what's wrong with that? She's a
I think
perfectly
that's all
lovely
about
lady.
this, huh? All right, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Do you know the one girl, Lola, has the same voice actress as 2B from Near Automata? So yes.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
So there you go. Well, okay. Let's move on because I don't want to reveal as much as I played in that
I
game.
just think it's hilarious that I'm the one talking about this.
I had to hide it when I'm playing Slave Girl Sarah. That's the one I played on Steam.
Sarah.
Yeah, that's
Honey Pop game night. When? Look, I'm not doing that.
All right, but Mike's
Rachel,
turn.
you can organize that.
Yeah, that's all on Rachel. Game
Guilty
they didn't
pleasure,
get, Mike.
hell no.
Game what?
Game they didn't get. Your turn to
I'm
answer.
still reeling. Monkey Ball. I don't know.
There you go. All right, fair
I
enough.
liked Monkey Ball more than everybody else. Some people were complaining that like the physics were slightly different, and I never noticed or understood or really cared. I just thought that it was still really fun monkey ball with a lot of cool extras, and all the multiplayer modes were still fantastic. And I feel like in terms of the remasters, even in terms like as far as remasters go, this one got a little underappreciated.
Okay. Let's see. Before we do our number 5, should we do our?
We have honorable mentions.
I don't
Hey
know.
Jeff, how much time do you think we have? Honorable mentions. Fuck that.
Okay.
Wait, how are we doing this?
Thank you, Jeff. Honorable mentions. This is why Jeff needs me. Jeff's like complaining, like, we're going pretty long.
No.
How about we do a round of honorable mentions?
Well,
Fuck you.
Really quick.
Mike is right. We don't have time.
Okay. So my number 5 game. Wait, did I turn it up? Okay, yes. My number 5 game is I'm like struggling. And this is why I want to do honorable mentions, because I'm like looking at my list and I want to change it last minute.
I know why you want to, because you like feel bad. They don't have feelings, Jeff. Don't worry.
They don't? Okay. Then my number 5 game is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So it's a fantastic game. It is so much fun. It's one of the only games this year that I started and could not really stop until I finished it. I beat it in 2 days, but I was just playing it nonstop. It's not just that it's gorgeous; it's that it uses its visuals to make everything pop and feel better. All of its shooting feels better because of the way the guns look and the way that the particles move around, the way the characters react, the animation of the enemies as you're shooting them, especially when like you're knocking them back and forth. It just looks like a living cartoon. It is so much fun. It's such a roller coaster ride. It easily made my top 5 the moment I played it.
Yeah, this is actually my number 5 too, so we can just kind of
Awesome.
lump it in there. And I really could have, like, my 3, 4, and 5 are pretty fluid. I could have almost put this wherever. But yeah, same thing. I just think that it is as good looking as a game can get. I love, especially in terms of that kind of more like 3D animated film style, which is incredible. It is just nuts to how close that is getting to that stuff in real time. Like, people always talk about video games are going to look like Toy Story. This looks better than Toy Story 1 did, and it's in real time and it's controllable.
Yes, it looks significantly better than Toy Story if you go back and look at that game. Right. Yeah,
really, really fun level designs. I think the weapons are incredible. A lot of really, really great stuff there. Even like some of the mini stuff you do, like I don't know people if people liked the puzzles as much in this one, but I liked those Clank puzzles a good deal. Yeah. I thought that they were fun. The thing when you're that spider robot with like the little like shooter segments. Yeah, when I was playing through it, it was just like 8 or 10 hours of just pure joy the entire time. It was just a fantastic playthrough.
Awesome. Rachel, what is your number 5 game of the year?
All right, keeping in mind that I'm trying to like make my game of the year list like games that I personally like got the most enjoyment out of. It's not because I don't just want to regurgitate our game of the year list, even if I agree that Halo Infinite is the best game of the year.
Yeah, do it.
But my number 5 would be Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.
Hey, all right. We saw some people chat.
Are gonna be happy.
Yeah, hoping to get this game some recognition. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like technically it should not. I mean, even if I'm being like completely real, it doesn't necessarily belong on our top 10 list. But it was I'm a huge Ace Attorney fan, and I got a great deal of pleasure out of playing this game, and it's so cute. And I like the fact that we got Sherlock Holmes in an Ace Attorney game, and he's absolutely killing it, even if we can't legally call him Sherlock Holmes, but whatever. I'll say I like this version. I like this version of Holmes better than I like the one in Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1.
All right, fair enough.
So, there we go. That's my controversial statement for this show.
Dean, what's your number 5 game of the year?
It Takes Two. So I like any game I can play with other members of the family, and we got into this one. So definitely, I think they do have this genre of co-op couch games unto themselves, but even so, this one was I think a lot more fun to play than A Way Out, as an example. And so I think they should keep sort of coming up with new kinds of these co-op games. And
the big difference here with It Takes Two is that it's so fundamentally sound just as a 3D platformer. Like, it feels so good just that being that it's almost on a Mario quality. Like as much as like Psychonauts 2 and even Ratchet and Clank, really, It Takes Two's platforming physics and mechanics are actually better than either of those games, which is pretty nuts. So it's just really fun to play.
It inspires a lot of banter between you and the other player too, because that's the kind of storyline as well. They're just bantering back and forth, right? And so, I'm going to beat you at this and stuff like that, right?
Definitely one of the all-time best co-op experiences. I think I said in my review it was the best co-op game since probably like Portal 2. and you probably even go back further.
Okay, let's see here. Let's move on to the next category.
Doom 2016 award.
Okay, so yeah, this is a game where like you like when it came out, you had spent the entire time just ignoring it or not caring because like the first time you saw it, it looked bad, or it looked like, or you just like really thought there was no chance you were gonna like it. And so for me, my answer, this is an easy one, is Guardians of the Galaxy. It is honestly the game that is most like how I felt when I went through Doom 2016, where it's like I saw it, I'm like, oh man, that looks pretty bad, or I just, nothing that it is doing in these trailers is clicking with me, or it's even actively repulsing me in some instances. I think these characters like look bad, and the voice acting seems kind of annoying and stuff like that. And then I played it, and it won me over with its charm. Its characters are actually good, and they are sort of annoying, but they are in a way that they're supposed to be, and then they are annoying. They annoy each other more than they annoy you. And when they annoy each other, and like you see that represented, it makes it a lot easier to accept that, like, these are just who these characters are, and that they work as a group because they could still find ways to work together, even though they are struggling to really accept who each other are. And it's a fun game with some really good action. It looks really good. I like the way it looks quite a lot.
Yeah, apparently when you use your voice modifier, not a single bit of it comes through to the stream.
Fair enough. All right, well, stop doing
funny.
that. Yes.
Well, I hope that happened before when you were talking about honorable mentions, and then people just heard silence, and then hear me screaming at you that was a stupid idea. So
I hope so too. Yeah,
Category is
I'll
game we had no expectations for. There you go.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah,
2016 award.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Rachel, you have one?
Yeah, I did. It was No More Heroes 3.
Yeah.
Which I did not. I mean, it's been a long time since I played a No More Heroes game. It's not that I didn't like them. I just was not. I saw that it's like, I thought the series was done and dusted. But I thought, okay, we're bringing Travis Touchdown back. Okay, and then I play it, and I'm like, oh, I forgot how fun these games are, and it's weird and funny, and I enjoy that. I mean, it's not a really great game, but I enjoyed it. I had fun playing it.
Yeah, and I think that's that's a good example of a game. Like, I would have been the same way had I like fallen in love with that game. It's like I had zero expectations for it, and yeah, it won you over. How about you, Dean? You got an answer for this one?
Well,
yeah, Total War Rome Remastered. I'm not a sort of player that looks back a lot, and so when remasters come out, I don't always jump on them. But I had forgotten, how fun it was to sort of take over all of Europe, I guess, and so I did that, and then it was fun. Then crushing all the rebellions of all the various populations that I had taken over. So I spent the last decades of the game just trying to crush every rebellion that was coming up. So exciting stuff.
Mike, how about you?
Gosh, this is almost like the Jeff Grubb award now, because there's so many things that Jeff was down on Metroid Dread at first. I want to remind everybody.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I was furious at you at the time.
Mm-hmm.
My big one here is definitely Halo Infinite. I never was a big Halo guy, really. I was never that into the series. And again, of course, what they first showed from Halo Infinite didn't look very good, right? That's why they had to delay it by a whole year. So my expectations were nil, and somehow both the campaign and the multiplayer have been giant home runs for me. The multiplayer has become the new thing that I play with my friends and family, at least 2 to 3 times a week now. We had that community game nights on Monday with Halo, which was a ton of fun. And yeah, it's definitely my favorite campaign of Halo games. That's probably my favorite shooter campaign since Titanfall 2, honestly. So yeah, I had no expectations for this. Thought it was a series I didn't care about, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I like Halo Infinite a lot. It's one of my favorite games of the year.
All right, that brings us to our personal number 4 game of the year. I will kick it off with again, we've talked a lot about it, so I won't say a lot about it, but Halo Infinite. It's really good. I think I agree with Mike what he says about the single player campaign, where it's the one I had the most fun with since Titanfall 2, and I think that is deserved high praise. It really clicked with me with its open world. I think the open world stuff worked exactly how it should have. It made me excited to explore, and it made the Halo moments feel even better. And then the multiplayer is fantastic. Every time I played it, even when I'm like having a bad night and losing, I'm still usually having a really good time. And then when it often happens where I have like the best and highest score and I'm always at the top of the leaderboards, that's even better, of course. So yeah.
Does that happen? That's just a fantasy.
No, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I could try to go up, look at and prove it, but who needs who has the time?
who needs
We're running out of
facts?
time. Rachel, what's your number 4 game?
My number 4 game is Resident Evil Village.
There you go. All right.
I understand it's not perfect. It's got some of its structural problems. But I like all of the antagonists in the game. I like a lot of the secondary characters, and I didn't really appreciate Chris Redfield being there, but he wasn't enough to spoil the game experience for me. And I thought it was a great callback to Resident Evil 4, which I loved. So I thought it was just it was great fun. I really enjoyed playing it, and I remember going back and being like, oh, I was actually genuinely scared by this one part of the game, and I was and that doesn't often happen to me. Not since Alien Isolation have I been genuinely like by a game, but this was the first time since then.
Let's go with Dean. Dean, what was your number 4 game of the year?
Call of Duty Vanguard. Already talked about that, but yeah, I liked the campaign. It had a good narrative thread, and then they tried a few new things, but some of the sort of tried and true sort of multiplayer kill fests were probably the most fun. There's one map called Shipmas, and it's just a bunch of freighter crates, I guess, that you're fighting among, and you can get like 40 kills and 30 deaths in it, and just within like a 10-minute match. So
it's a wild one for sure.
Yeah.
You said Ship Miss? Did they theme it on like Christmas? Okay. I'll have to go. I actually haven't seen that, so I love Shipment. Yeah. All right, Mike, what's your number 4?
Number 4 is actually Hitman 3, which even halfway through the year I thought would have been number 1, but then a bunch of things just kept happening. But yeah, Hitman 3 is still super fantastic. I'm super happy it is getting more content this year. That's actually a bit of a surprise. I just really like this style of stealth game. There's some fantastic maps in this one. Dartmouth, Dartmouth still stands out as an all-time great. The only strike against it is the last level is a bit of a dud, but whatever. Just especially after that first playthrough, it's just you don't go back there. It's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I just love those games, and even now I'm kind of feeling like a big desire to go back and play through some of them, because I got a little taste of it when I did that Christmas level during Christmas. Just like, man, nothing plays quite as good as this for this kind of thing. Like the closest thing was Metal Gear Solid 5, and that was a long time ago for me. So the Hitman games
so long ago. Like I would have put it on my list if I had remembered it.
That's why I guess that's what a lot of people felt.
Yep.
Sadly,
Recency bias.
We're giving it love. We remember. Damn it, Hitman 3 is fantastic. If you haven't played it yet, when that trilogy comes out, I'm almost jealous of people who get to just play through it as a Hitman trilogy, because it is kind of one experience, and you're going to have some of those.
It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be really neat.
Yep. All right, let's go with another category. I want to jump to favorite gaming moment of the year. Let's see. It's not my favorite moment because it was the worst moment, but that moment in Halo when Mike killed me with the hammer is definitely a standout.
That was technically this year. That was a 2020
exactly.
thing. So
exactly.
I have to remember that one.
So definitely write that down.
Yeah. I will say that. Although when you uncaptured the flag in Halo, that might be my favorite moment from 2021.
Listen, it was never fully captured. I was just moving it around, trying to keep it safe.
It was about as captured as it could be. For people who don't know, this is early. We were playing.
Yeah, it was one of the first days it came out. Yeah,
capture the flag, and we got their flag, and we had it next to our flag, and then the person died. So all Jeff had to do was pick up the flag and move it a foot.
But I spawned right in front of it, picked it up, and started running back towards where the flag came from. So away from our capture.
Yeah, Jeff thought that he was in the enemy base and he was capturing it for the first time, and it was
exactly.
And then we lost, and man, it was so funny. Holy crap, that was that might.
And we'll
be
never
moment.
forget about it, huh? We'll never.
Oh, we call it a Jeff now. We say whenever it's capture a flag, we say don't pull a Jeff.
I literally dropped it in our base. Whoa, says Sean. My favorite gaming moment of the year, and just to let everybody know, there's going to be spoilers in this episode, so I'm just going to do it. But this is going to be spoilers for Metroid Dread. At the end of that game, she becomes Metroid. She is a Metroid. So when you're playing this series, if you've been playing from the beginning or been playing from a long time, and the game's called Metroid, and as a kid you might have heard oh yeah, you run around as Metroid, and the character the kids thought the character was named Metroid. Even though it's Samus, it was paying off on this really old joke at this point. Oh yes, Like, why can't Metroid crawl and all this stuff? But then also it was just like this really powerful story moment of it all coming together, and there wasn't a single Metroid in the game, and it's like, why is this even still called Metroid Dread? That doesn't make sense anymore. There's these X-Parasites, there's Samus, there's Space Pirates or whatever, these other things, but there's no Metroids. And then you realize at the moment, like at that moment, oh, she is the Metroid. I've been playing as the Metroid the entire time, and unlocking that and having her suit transform into this super powerful version of itself was just incredible. It was such a good moment, and it just worked on so many levels of delivering on that old joke, and then also like delivering on the name of the game and stuff like that. It was really powerful for me. So
Also
yeah,
gives them a pretty straightforward avenue for a Metroid Dread sequel, where you just kind of
Exactly.
do more with that Metroid suit, more with the Metroid powers, and like she's had Metroid-ness stuff in her since Fusion, right? Like that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
She had Metroid DNA in her, but now it's like, oh, she like could just become a Metroid. So
yeah, and he says it was very dumb though, and yes, absolutely,
In a great
but that
way,
makes
though.
it better. That only makes it better.
I loved it. Yeah,
yes.
I was also a fan of it.
All right, let's go with Rachel. What was your standout gaming moment of the year?
Okay, this one's gonna be. I mean, also I'm trying to like diversify a little bit, so I want to get
Yeah.
a chance to talk about a game that I'm not gonna talk about anywhere
Yeah,
else
that's
in
a
the
great
show.
idea.
I got way into like the dancing mini game on Lost Judgment. Like
Oh, perfect.
I was like where you got to dance with a bunch of teenage girls, and it was just, again, like it's a Yakuza game, so of course there's going to be some shenanigans, and I was expecting that, but they took out the karaoke, which was, I mean, but it's karaoke. It's not a hugely like weird activity to partake in with a bunch of friends while drunk. But becoming a coach to a high school dance club was and I got super into it. I was like, okay, we're gonna get our groove on. We're gonna have a specific routine, and I was just like getting lost in it a little bit, and it still makes me laugh to this day when I go back and like there's an interview with Nagoshi-san, I think, and the actor who plays Yagami, where Kimura-san just turns to him and says, "You were drunk when you came up with this, right?" I was like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's
Wait, so
fantastic.
I thought you were gonna say your moment of the year was unlocking the Lola Jesse threesome in Honey Pup too. At this point,
Yeah. I mean,
Close
do you
second.
want me to keep talking about Honey Pop too?
He
No,
clearly
I don't think
does.
I
He clearly
will.
does.
I will.
We'll have our own dedicated episode sometime, Rachel. We'll go into all the intricacies. We'll talk about how I'm not sure those game developers know where buttholes are supposed to go. It's going to be a fun time.
Dean, go for it. What's your favorite gaming moment of the year?
I like the Bassus boss fight in Halo Infinite. That was where he's got one of the big giant hammers and
Mhm.
just chasing you around in this very confined space. And I tried to get through, like when I was zooming through the game and not trying to level up everywhere and find all the stuff I needed to level up. So I just raced right into fighting Bassus, and I couldn't beat him that first time around. So then I reset the game, and then I left that area, and then I went around the entire map and leveled up everything there was to level up. And then I came back, and then I also knew that they had those little, explosive, whatever, petrol bomb things.
Yeah,
that
the
you-
exploding barrels. Yeah.
Yeah. So I put like 15 of those into the space, so that everywhere I ran, I could turn around and shoot one of those and blow it up and blow him up too. So
That's clever. Yeah.
that
I
was
like that a lot.
eventually the fun way to actually defeat him. So
Yeah, that
finally
was
did
the
it.
one where I realized I really need to be using the grappling hook all the time. So I did it a different way than
Yeah.
you, but it's like I was just
Yeah.
grappling I would shoot, grapple, get out of the way, get in, get out. Because he's got the hammer. If he hits you like once or twice, you're dead. So that was a good boss fight. Mike, what's your answer for this one?
I mean, it's you with the flag for sure. But
Okay.
the other one that came up was when I was playing Monkey Target from Monkey Ball Banana Mania with my friends. It was just, again, I have no idea why that is the greatest mini game of all time, but it is. All you're doing is like all the monkeys go down a ramp and then you glide towards targets. But there's just so much silliness that happens with like knocking people off of their targets and just barely getting onto that very small platform that's worth the most points. Like there was just one round where we all just ended up jumping up and down and screaming from the excitement of it at some point. And it was 4 players split screen, like in bad frame rate because it was on the Switch. And it was still just the best time ever. So I don't know why, but Monkey Target is incredible.
All right. So then that brings us to I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna go for it.
Number 3.
Let's see if they heard it that time.
They didn't hear
did
it.
any
Number
of you-
3. If you didn't hear it, I said the number 3 game of the year, and I will Kick it off. What is my number 3 game of the year? I'm gonna take a look. I think I know what it is. But I'm just double check.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it is The Forgotten City. The Forgotten City is really good. It is. I talked about it on the Game of the Year podcast, but I'll just repeat real quick. It is a little interactive museum where you can go in and you find things, and all the sort of things that you find are interlinked, and they tell a bigger story. And finding out what like the importance of every little thing that you come across in that world is very satisfying. It is this interwoven, told story that just as you sort of begin cutting at these threads, you unlock more and more, and it's also kind of like it still feels a little bit like Skyrim too, and I like that because like once you get the bow and arrow and stuff, it could do stuff with that and explore ways to break the systems of like, oh, if anyone in this world sends, everyone dies. What does that mean if I just take this bow and arrow and shoot someone? Oh yes, okay, everyone's dying now. So yes, I did break the system. It's just fun to mess around with that stuff. So yeah, and then the story really came home for me. I thought they did a really good job wrapping it up for the most part. I don't necessarily love the exact explanation for everything, but it still goes for it, and it worked. And what they went for, they did it well. So yeah, number 3 game of the year. Let's keep going the same order we've been going with. Rachel, what's your number 3 game of the year?
My number 3 is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
All right.
And pretty much.
You tried to get rid of this from our game of the year list. That was your third favorite game of the year.
He's never gonna forgive you.
Please. I mean, my reason for thinking it was like maybe not game of the year material. I still stand by them, which is that I wish Rivet and Ratchet were not effectively the same character, but I can forgive that because I understand it's in service of a bigger gameplay loop. Mm-hmm. So I think some things could have been pushed more. So that's the concession I'm willing to make. But it was so cute and so fun, and frankly, I was so burnt out last year that for the first like 10 months of the year, that if I made it all the way to the end of any game, that's a game that game was a winner, and I had to play that game through to the end. So I gotta pay homage.
Let's keep going. Dean, number 3 game of the year.
It was Life is Strange: True Colors, and
right.
I have the sort of same boat here. It's spoiling my own sort of best character of the year. Alex, I thought was the best character. I felt like if you guys were in my boat, it would be interesting to see how many sort of games out there you saw with you in it, right, or your people in it, right. And I'm not talking about Asians, right? There's lots of games with Asian characters, but Asian American or Asian Canadian. I can count only Mirror's Edge, which had Faith, who you never really saw because it's a first-person game, and then Prey with Morgan. And again,
and don't forget GTA Chinatown Wars, which isn't exactly like a great representation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm not good. I didn't play that one, but yeah. So it's just so rare to see like a realistic sort of depiction of someone who's Asian American, and in this case, also not stereotypical as well. In that she's not a math genius or anything like that. She's coming from the foster system, like she's a foster child and all that. So I liked the representation in it, and it was a good story and good mystery, and really beautiful sort of scenery and characters as well. So that's my number 3.
And then Mike, we got to get your number 3 game of the year.
Yeah, it's Halo Infinite, which we've talked a lot about. I guess we will say real quick that for the single player campaign, boy, that grappling hook I think really is almost more so than just like switching to that open world perspective. The grappling hook just really added a little something to Halo in terms of making the movement interesting and really opening up so many more things. But yeah, Halo Infinite is my number 3. Again, never would have thought at the beginning of the year that I would like that game that much.
I'm right there with you.
All
right.
You're late to the party, but you're welcome.
Wow.
Okay, so we're gonna go do another category now. I'm gonna try it again.
Best character of the year. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
All right, so Dean gave his. Dean, you said Alex in Life is Strange: True Colors. So do you want to say anything else about that?
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's we'll keep going. Let's see. My favorite character of the year was Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was just as funny as he is in the movies. I think maybe even more so in a lot of situations. I also think that his he always has like the best comment at the end of no matter what's happening. There's a great example of it in a video that was on Twitter of a moment when another character is like explaining what she's done and who she's killed and how that affected her, and then all the other characters are trying to make light of it, and then while all the other characters are trying to make light of it, Drax is like, yeah, we did that right after that moment where you said you killed your sister or whatever. And it was just like the way that he's able to do this in such a dry wit and make it both funny and make it feel awkward at the same time is really well done. He like wears glasses and he like reads books like understanding sarcasm and stuff like that, and I don't know, a lot of his stuff's just really clever, and I really enjoyed it. Rachel, who's your favorite character of the year?
I put down Lady Dimitrescu from Village, and I mean, I will say it's not just because she's Lady Dimitrescu, but it's also because it's kind of what a little bit of the whole, like, I don't. Now Resident Evil's always been pretty good at having female villains, but I like that we've got a female villain who is genuinely monstrous. You know what I mean? Because previous games, like we had, who was in Resident Evil 5, we had that chick who who was in the middle of a war zone in Africa, and she's wearing like a white, a piece of diaphanous white cloth over her chest. It's like, sort of like massive eye roll here. But yeah, I like that, you've got a female villain who is just this, towering like mass of monster. And, I'm not really in the whole like, ooh, tall vampire lady until I actually played the game, and I'm like, yeah, I dig this character, and I like the backstory as well. I don't want to get too into it because I know we got a time limit, but yeah, I kind of dig the background of the character too.
Fantastic. And then Mike, who's your favorite character of the year?
Oh gosh, there's some I was thinking about. Samus was really strong this year.
Yes, Samus was the better she's ever been.
Yeah, in Metroid Dread, she was very good in that. I also liked Rivet a lot in Ratchet and Clank. She was good. But in Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker, there's this kind of new race of characters. They're called the Loperates. I have this plush doll of one. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but they are very nice and very helpful and well-meaning people. And they all have names like that tell you what they do. So there's like Cooking Way, and he cooks, right? And at one point, like one of like the main characters is giving them all a pep talk, like, "Oh, look, your names like are helpful, and they indicate how much you want to help people and what you're good at, like you Naming Way and you Cooking Way and you what's your name?" And this guy's like, "My name is Pudding Way," and the guy's just like, "Oh, well, that's nice that you like pudding." And I thought that was very funny. So my favorite character of the year is Pudding Way.
Pudding as in Pudding, just likes pudding.
That's
fantastic.
And I think
okay,
it's like in the European sense where pudding is all dessert, right?
Okay, all right, okay, fair enough. That's good. Yes,
but Pudding Way shows up. I found Pudding Way later in like a side quest I didn't need to do where he was just trying to get pudding, and I helped him with that. And I like Pudding Way. I like that his name is Pudding Way. It's his whole purpose in life is pudding. And at first he didn't even really know what pudding was, and he had to be taught it. And he's like, yeah, it turns out that I do love pudding.
That's beautiful.
And I think about Pudding Way a lot. I sure do. Like even this little doll, right? They just gave me, and they called it a Loperate doll. I'm like, this is Pudding Way actually, because they all look the same anyway. So like, this is specifically a Pudding Way doll, and I put him right under the camera so you can't see him. So when I'm looking at the camera, I'm actually looking at Pudding Way. Every single
That's true
time.
love. That's just true love.
Talk about your be enthusiastic in Pudding Way's direction.
Yeah, that's
right,
always
exactly.
good.
So yeah, Pudding Way's fantastic.
Number 2 game of the year.
All right, here we are. My number 2 game of the year is Metroid Dread. It is one of the best feeling games I've ever played. I think the way that the character moves and gets around and the animation is very important in that, and they nail that, and it works because it's that 2.5D having like the 3D characters, and they really exploit that to all of its capabilities. I like that I like the way that the jump feels like when it's like the skill-based jump when you are just getting the early moon jump and stuff like that, and the double jump. And then when I like the way that the abilities just keep getting unlocked at such a rapid pace, where like literally like you get one big thing and it changes the way you play, and then 15 minutes later you might get something else, and then suddenly you are just space jumping throughout the entire level, never touching the ground again. And then the boss fights are just incredible punch out sequences where if you're learning the sequences, you feel like a god. And but when you first come up against them, they can feel so intimidating. And having that those two things like in the same game in every boss fight is really well done. And they feel super interactive even when they go into the cutscenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just a great game.
Jeff, this is my number 2 as well, so I'll just piggyback off of yours. I agree with pretty much everything you said, especially the controls. I haven't played, especially like a 2D game that you were kind of meant to play with an analog stick. Like usually that can be futzy, and it feels just so incredible in this one. As much as I've always loved Metroid games, I've never been one to just like replay them immediately back to back to back. And this was a rare example where as soon as I beat it, I was like, okay, now I'll beat it on hard mode. Now I'll beat it on normal mode under 6 hours. Now I'll beat it in hard mode under 6 hours. Now normal mode under. I just kept replaying it and kept having fun, like exploring the intended sequence breaks and like learning some basic speedrunner strats and stuff like that. It was just a fantastic time. Well, since Jeff had to walk away for a second here, Rachel, how about you tell us what your number 2 is?
My number 2 is Life is Strange: True Colors. So again, I mean, piggybacking off of what Dean said, it's just a really beautiful little mystery. And I mean, again, I'm also like big sucker for mystery, and I liked that it wasn't just, again, it's hard to talk about True Colors without talking about the original Life is Strange and how much I didn't like it. But so like a part of it was the element of surprise. Like I'm just so surprised at how good these characters are, how natural their dialogue feels, and how not Twin Peaks the mystery is. But even taking all that, it's just a cute little slice of life game, and I like stories where it's a small town with a dark secret, which is at its heart, that's what this is about. So I rate that game pretty highly.
It seems like mining companies are a big target for for the Life is Strange developers.
Yeah.
They had the same thing happen in the Twin Mirror game. So anyway, the evil corporations destroying our small
town. Twin Mirrors, was that Don't Nod?
So it was not. I'm trying to remember. Like they are made by different developers.
But even so, yeah,
it was not a Life is Strange title, but it was very Life is Strange like by the same Life is Strange developers, right? So,
that's fair. Yeah.
Dean, what did you say your number 2 game of the year?
Let's see. Mine is Age of Empires 4, and I was prepared to kind of be bored with it because Age of Empires was so old. But then it's been so long since an Age of Empires game came out that the graphics actually looked really good. So far better than anything I remembered. And the campaign for this was the Norman invasion of England was very well done. They sort of had some very good videos that sort of got you into the particular conflict or battle that you were going to fight, and so it really held my attention, and I enjoyed it. And then on multiplayer, it's still the same Age of Empires that way, and so it's fun to go up against other people and try to take them down in the classic RTS combat.
Awesome. All right, let's do another category. Actually, let's do this pair of categories: worst game of the year and or most disappointing game of the year. If you have an answer for both, you can definitely do that. If you only want to do one, that's fine. I'm gonna go my my most disappointing game of the year is Mario Golf Super Rush. I think it's actually the subtitle. I like it. It's fine. It's a good golf game when you're actually playing the golf. But not having the tournament system really sort of caused a big taper off in terms of like people wanting to continue to play it. Like we have the tournament system in Mario Kart, and we're still going back and playing that game, and it's going to be a key pillar of our community game night on our Discord. I think if Mario Golf Super Rush had a similar sort of tournament system, it would get the same treatment, but it doesn't have that. It doesn't seem like it's going to get that. They made it like a party game, and instead of making it like something that you're going to play online regularly with your friends or make it like a single player game that you're going to be able to like really get a meaty experience out of. They still treated it like an extended tutorial, and it just overall kind of missed the mark for me in a lot of key ways, other than the golf being very good.
It is funny that this is a game we keep hoping will be as good as it was on the Game Boy Advance, like this series, right?
Even the Game Boy Color, even the Game Boy Color won't be as good as that. My most disappointing game, or I'm sorry, my worst game of the year is Balan Wonderworld. You can watch my video on it. It's bad. Yeah. It's a game I call out because it's $60 from Square Enix. Otherwise, I wouldn't have much to say about it. But just the fact, every time I remember that game came out at $60, it's just shocking. controlling in that game is a nightmare. All of those suits feel bad. And when you get a suit that can't jump and you come up to like a small 12-inch ledge that your character doesn't just step up, it's got to be one of the most frustrating moments in any video game I've ever played, and it happens regularly in that game. So just baffling game design.
Like, why did you play it so long?
I made
I had
him
to
review
review
it.
it.
I forced him to. I was like,
my-
Jeff, you have to write the review. It was a mean trick.
Yes, it was a cruel joke played
It was an
upon me.
abuse of power. I made Jeff do it because I thought it was funny, and it was.
All right, let's keep going. Rachel, you have an answer for most disappointing and or worst game of the year?
Yeah, most disappointing was Outriders, I think, because I felt like it squandered a pretty interesting premise, which was, fairly interesting premise, put it that way. I don't want to talk it up too much, but I got into it thinking, hey, this is like this should be fun, and then afterwards I remember thinking, I didn't like that. I think the worst part of it for me is just like the concept of a game, like the concept of it leveling up as you do, and it's keeping you apprised of the level up system. It's sort of like almost like the game is racing you a little bit. That was great until I hit a difficulty curve in the game. Every time I died, and I died quite a lot at least one point, the game was like, would you like to drop down in difficulty level? Would you like to make the world go down in a difficulty level? And I'm just like, stop asking me. I said no the first time.
I hate that, yeah.
And
that's the worst.
Worst game of the year, 12 minutes. I didn't play Balan Wonderworld, so, but 12 minutes.
I didn't play 12 minutes, so maybe you're right.
Oh, that game sucked.
People were split on 12 minutes, and I was like, just from reading the good and the bad, I was like, I could tell I'm going to side with the bad people. I don't want to play this.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was that split. Even the people that were like, this is okay, were like that. No one was like, this is game of the year.
I mean, I wasn't even disappointed in it because it's like there wasn't anything worth salvaging in it. I mean, even the time loop mechanic, every other game that had a time loop mechanic that came out this year, and there were a lot of them, every single one of them did it better.
Yes, absolutely.
And I hate any game where the plot is a cheap ass Law and Order SVU episode.
Yes,
it was.
And they did get nominated for like Indie Game of the Year at the Game Awards, so some people must have liked it. Well, what a weird thing. All right, let's see, Dean, do you have a most disappointing or worst game of the year?
Battlefield 2042 for me.
For your most disappointing? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this most disappointing. I got excited about it when I played the preview, and I was with a couple of other really enthusiastic streamer guys on my squad, and we jumped off a big platform into a hurricane, right, and or a tornado, and so the tornado was just like pulling us along, but you could actually shoot somebody in the tornado when you were flying. And so I thought, wow, that's fun. And then the Battlefield Portal idea of mixing different sort of weird remixes, like World War I infantry against one modern battle tank, right? That all seemed cool, but then on the execution, it came in so buggy. I ran into bugs all the time. Like there was one time I landed after parachuting, and I was in some subsurface ocean that I couldn't get out of, and then I only got out of it because somebody landed in the same thing as me and shot me, and so I was respawning somewhere else. But I was like underneath the level of the ground, sort of flailing around, and things like that, just happen all the time. And so that was disappointing. And it was also just not a fun game to play when you were off by yourself and you were just teaming up with random people, right? And so I think if you had 4 friends that you played with, it's more rewarding. You can actually go and accomplish something, like you can take over a particular sort of point in the battlefield and hold it. But if you're not synced with your rest of your teammates, it feels like it's so random. Like you're getting shot from every direction, and you have no idea like how to take cover or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no. You never feel like you get to like a safe spot even for a second in that game. It's really frustrating. Mike, do you have an answer for either of these, or should we move on to our top game of the year?
I mean, I think Ball and Wonderworld's probably the answer for both of them for me. Like, there actually was a point where I was excited for Ball and Wonderworld.
That's right, yes.
Because I like Knights a lot, and they were definitely aping the Knights art style. They had, Yuji Naka, they had some other people involved with that game in here. So at first I thought that he was just, it
the
might
Knights
be like...
sections, too, are just nothing. They're just matching up pictures. The Balance Bouts. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Balance
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I understand there's going to be defenders for everything, but I can't believe that there are defenders for Bomb Wonderworld, especially like some notable ones. That just shocks me. I will say that Popeye game is probably the right answer, but that's not like a full price game, and
No,
like
yeah.
it's like almost a joke.
I
Like
did
the funny
buy
thing
it.
there is how did they actually get the rights for Popeye? How was this allowed to happen? Like somebody who's in charge of quality assurance for the Popeye brand really messed up on that one, I guess.
They're
But,
probably just like scrambling because isn't Popeye going to be like one of the first ones to enter the public domain here pretty soon? So
It's coming up, yeah. Whenever he debuted, and because the whole Popeye thing's weird because he debuted like Olive Oil is a much older character than Popeye, not a much older, but an older character than Popeye from that cartoon, Thimbleweed Theater or something. That's not even right, but yeah, sure. We don't have to go into Popeye's history.
Yeah, matter of time. Okay, let's get to it. All right.
The number 1 game of the year.
All right, here we are. My number 1 game of the year is Hitman 3. It is.
It's still one after all this time. I wonder if you're going to stay true, if you're going to waver.
No, definitely there was times where I'm like Metro Dread or the Forgotten City were up there. As I've gone back to Hitman 3, it's such an ideal game of what I want from a video game, where it's like, here's a fun playground where you can mess around and do all kinds of different things, and the playground is even more fun when you go back to it like the 20th time, and you have a completely like a real mental map of where everything is, and now you can exploit everything and come up with really wild ideas and then execute on those. And we're gonna have enough systems that when you try that stuff, it is gonna go sideways a lot of times, but then that's just gonna make it even more interesting. And the levels are so much fun to explore. Like they're all so good. Me and Mike did a countdown of like our favorite. Or we ranked all of the maps, and it's like, man, I was going through all of them. Like, man, so many of these are really, really great. There's just so much great level design in all of them, where it's like there's so much possibility. But in Hitman 3, just the Hitman 3 specific levels have some of my favorite. Berlin is like this nightclub where you don't know where all the enemies are, and you go in there and you try to figure it out, and it's like so packed and crowded that you have to like really explore the space. And as you do, you begin to spot different possibilities to do different kinds of assassinations. And the time when I took over the DJ and caused the whole thing to explode up on top and into electricity, like a big electrical explosion, was just fantastic. That sort of stuff is like, okay, you see something, you're like, they put that there for a reason. How can I exploit it? That sort of that loop is just so good here, and it's never been better. And I'm very glad that they're going to keep supporting this game. So yeah, Hitman 3 is my game of the year. Rachel, game of the year.
Okay, this one, a little bit of a dark horse candidate, but the game that genuinely gave me the most happiness this year, Unpacking.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, genuinely. I mean, again, it's not like the game that captured the most of my attention, but I can genuinely say I've replayed it more than any other game this year, and I thought this is like, I appreciate what it's doing with the story, and the gameplay is just so relaxing. Again, last year was not good for me, so maybe I just needed a game that was super, super zen, and that's what this was. So yeah, pull the rug out from under you. That's mine. Unpacking.
That's awesome, and it's one that I've been meaning to play, but now that it's your game of the year, I'm gonna put it on the top of my list because I haven't touched it, but it just looks like so satisfying to play. So, and I really like the idea of the way they tell the story of like, you don't meet these characters, you're just going to see their life as you are unpacking the stuff in different locations over the years. So I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea.
For Switch, it was like on sale during the holidays. I can't remember if that actually happened or some kind of Christmas ale fever dream, but I think I own that game now. I need to play it.
It's on Game Pass.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass also, but I think I have it on Switch.
That's what I'll go
money
boot it up on there right away.
Rough.
Dean, what's your game of the year?
Well, I did like Hitman 3 too, but I played a lot of it. I love some of those levels, like the big house and the final sort of vineyard sort of place.
Yes, Argentina.
Yeah, those were cool, and I'd forgotten about how much fun that was. But Halo Infinite was my favorite game of the year, and grappling hook. I think if they made a Dean version of that, it would be like ride around in the scorpion tank all the time and just blow it up. It's like be
I'd
this
play it.
super powerful character, who's got a scorpion tank and just destroys everything. And like those bosses that gave me so much trouble for like an hour or two, just take one shot at them with the scorpion tank and they're gone, right? So, but
I'd play it.
yeah, there was so much, I think variety there across all the different kinds of things you do, and lots of boss fights, like lots of sort of. I didn't expect that many boss fights, and so it was fun that they were all so different. Like you're fighting against an invisible boss. Sometimes that was tough, and there were so many tricks you had to learn in order to survive and get through them. So, hey,
Mike,
Halo.
I'm
what was
just
your game? What was your game of the year?
I'm just in awe because Andy in our chat was like, "What if the scorpion tank could grapple to things?" And I'll tell you what, if I could program, if I had an indie game studio, that would just be my next game: a tank that had a grappling hook.
When it's like,
Spider-Man
isn't that like a Blaster Master? But maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I mean, I don't think Blaster Master has jets. I don't think he has a grappling.
Yeah, I don't
hook.
think he has a grappling hook.
No. My game of the year is Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. I played so much Final Fantasy 14 this year. It was crazy, and I was already playing it every day and absolutely like falling in love with it and doing nothing but thinking about it. And then Endwalker came out in December and made everything better. It added 2 new jobs that are really fun. It improved a lot of the jobs, including my favorite job, Red Mage, where it's even better to play. Added incredible, satisfying story content, wonderful new locations to go to. And I'm doing the like hard savage fights now. I found a group of 7 other people to do these with, and now I am a hardcore Final Fantasy 14 raider on Tuesday and Thursday nights. That's my life now. Actually had girls who wanted to hang out yesterday, and I was like, no, I have to play Final Fantasy instead.
Wow, humble brag.
Why didn't you invite the girls to play Final Fantasy?
Yeah, what the hell's wrong with you?
They weren't invited. That's why. I don't want them cramping my style.
Ah, wow, okay. He's Mike
Oh,
Minotti's a
Mike was out
bird.
with us. We're gonna get drinks and maybe take our clothes off. No, I'm playing Final Fantasy.
Mike Minotti's a bird. He's got to be free. Everybody, we all know this.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Okay. So those are top 5. We got a few more categories. I figured we could go through these pretty quickly. This one I thought was fun. The best game from an old franchise that needed a win. So this is a franchise that was like what was doing pretty good, but then had probably a drop off. It was like, okay, it's been years since you've had something that really broke out. I think a couple of us have the same answer. So me and Dean, I know, have this at least. Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Dean, why did you put it there?
Well, I thought that most of the Halo games, even Halo 2, I would say, had these plots that kind of went all over the place, and I got fed up with the last one where you had Spartans fighting against each other, and I'm going like, come on, I want to go blow up aliens and kill aliens. I don't need to go kill Spartans as well. It just brought the franchise back from some place that it had wandered, I think, and the plot was not ridiculous in some way. And then there was this sort of character element and narrative, what happened to Cortana is sort of always interesting because it's basically a love story between Master Chief and Cortana, and that has been one of the best things about Halo ever since the very first game, I think. And so that the fact that they sort of brought it back in some way also was good narrative, good writing, and so it was good to see just some of these things that I think were good come back, and then they gave you so much of it to play, right? You had an open world, you got to do this over and over again. I got this, like a normal Halo game had one level with a scorpion tank, for about 20 minutes, and that was it. Right. So here you got to spend just a lot more time with.
Yeah, like having the option to like try to like take care of it and be able to take it with you anywhere in the world for the most part. Even if like you're like, man, I'm gonna go way over here with the scorpion tank. You could just drive it and like take 20 minutes doing that, and it's a lot of fun. I see, Mike, you actually have this on your list as well. What like why'd you put it on here?
Yeah, just because I think so many people weren't into Halo 5 really, and there was a feeling that like, man, what happens to the series if you have 2 misses in a row? I mean, you could almost say that Battlefield could have been in this category, but it did have another miss, and now like it is in that weird situation where it had two misses
Exactly,
in a row.
yeah.
And it's like, man, what's gonna happen to Battlefield now? Like it's an awkward situation to be in. Metroid is another decent contender here. Like Metroid.
Metroid was actually my answer. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Okay, yeah. So like, yeah, because like Samus Returns was fine, but before that, it was a very long drought and Federation Force and like other M before that. So it's Metroid really did need to have another fantastic game again. But Rachel, you could probably talk more about that since you picked it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same. It's exactly what you said. It's like we had a pretty long drought. We got Samus Returns, but it wasn't. That's not the same. That's not the same as getting like a completely new game in the series, which we got. And then, of course, you know, I kind of think that maybe, and you know, maybe this is not really an accurate read on the situation, but you know, we're in that like quantum state where it's like maybe Metroid Prime 4 is coming out, but I kind of wonder if maybe they threw Metroid Dread out there as a sort of like canary in the coal mine. Let's just see how good the atmosphere is for Metroid out there. And now we get Metroid Dread, and everyone's like, yeah, this franchise is really good. We're so glad to have Samus back. And they're like, oh, okay, fine. Like, I'm not saying Metroid Dread is the reason we get Metroid Prime 4, but I am hoping that we get Metroid Prime 4 more speedily.
Yeah, I think the only other game I might possibly think could go in this category, like Psychonauts 2 doesn't really count, but like it would have been a bummer if Psychonauts 2 would have came out and like fizzled, because it's like
if it was like a Shenmue 3.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad it was a win, and this one's like just for me, but NHL 22, it's like, man, that hockey games feel like they might not be long for this world. Like maybe that audience is shrinking enough that it won't even be worth it for EA to do one. And if the games kept getting worse and worse like they had been, it would have been a real bummer. NHL 22 is really solid, so I'm really happy that they came out and were able to nail that. Okay, let's see. I think there was a category here. I just messed it up. Breakthrough in representation. Does anyone have an answer here? But I think Dean, you have one. Do you want to talk about Life is Strange again here?
Yeah, just repeat the Life is Strange sort of notion. So I don't need to say more about it now, though.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, then
you talked about that.
Yeah, I was going to say. Does anyone else have an answer here? Yeah, okay, absolutely. Then
yeah, that would have been my answer too. So
okay, cool. All right, then let's move on to this last one. I believe 2021 was the year of. Does anyone want to define 2021 other than NFTs?
I mean, was it the year of? I mean, it was your pick.
It might have been.
People were talking about NFTs, but it seems like that's even getting hotter now. Because partly that was because this stuff was picking up December. But again, it's all talk. There hasn't really. I know there are some NFT games out there, but we haven't actually seen too much of an impact around this aside from people getting mad. We talked about NFTs on this show already, and gosh, I'm over it. It's already a conversation, so I don't know. I still like. I don't know why. I still like thinking of these things in stupid ways. How like had the year of the bow, like the year of Luigi. So like year of the grappling hook is still something that comes up to my mind. But I don't know. I think like I'm probably going to think of 2021 as this kind of Activision Blizzard year. And I almost want to say downfall of Activision Blizzard, but maybe it's not going to be their downfall. Maybe somehow they're still going to be completely fine with it. Maybe downfall of Blizzard at least. I don't know. They seem like they are in such a rocky spot right now, especially with nothing major happening soon. They're going to have to announce a new World of Warcraft expansion like with any day now, really. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes for them. But that was certainly probably the single news story I was thinking about the most throughout the entire year, especially since I had such a relationship with them and had covered them so much. It was just
kind of this very front of mind.
Right. You're right. It was a very odd thing having that relationship and like what that company means, just giving it completely turned on its head like that.
Yeah, I wrote down here shortages, but I feel like it's probably even bigger than that because like the shortages exist because everything is so interconnected and gaming is in so much more demand than it's ever been. And maybe that's actually the big story here is that like there was a time when we felt like console gaming was going to go away or that Facebook and mobile gaming was going to take over. And we're at a time when gaming across the board, no matter where you're talking about, except for maybe Facebook gaming, is bigger than it's ever been. And there's so many people coming into it. And yeah, there are scalpers. Those scalpers exist for the same reason. And yeah, there are like component shortages. Yes, but even without those component shortages, the demand is just going to be so high that these consoles were always going to be hard to get, and you see other companies looking to rush in with stuff like the Analog Pocket and the Steam Deck. They want to capitalize because they know there's this audience that is willing to spend a lot of money on hardware to then buy games, and It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. It feels like, at least for the near future. And if people focus on this audience, they can succeed, and they don't need these weird tricks like stuff like the promises of the NFT games or the metaverse. But maybe there's something that will happen with that stuff. But right now, the people that are succeeding are the ones making games for gamers, and it feels like that is kind of what this year really defined for me. Dean, do you have an answer to this?
Yeah, you guys won't like it, but
I mean, you might be right.
Yeah, it was the year of I think NFT games and the metaverse hype, and I feel some pride in the metaverse hype side of things because we had our conference on the metaverse before the hype happened. So we helped get people thinking about it in ways, like we did the conference before Facebook decided to become Meta and become a metaverse company. We're in touch with the sort of OGs in the space, like Tim Sweeney and Dave Baszucki, who have been thinking about the metaverse for many years, right? And then so we helped people understand like what the opportunity was and why this moment in time during the pandemic was the time to actually try to make this stuff happen, right? It's like you're actually helping people to deal with things like being all alone or being in a bad mental health space. And if you could make those spaces at home, remote work or whatever, more enjoyable and just better places to be, then you are doing some good in the world. And so I think that motivation turned into everybody is doing some kind of metaverse game, and they're co-opting the title because like they have a one game or they have a virtual world and they're calling it the metaverse now, and that's not really the metaverse, right? And so getting these things to be open and connected and working together and interoperable, that's the real metaverse. And I think it has people thinking about things like that whole World War II thing and modern weapons. Like you can't combine them in a historical world, right? But if you looked at the world of Ready Player One, where at the end there's that big battle and all of these characters from all these different games, they're all blending together, kind of the way Fortnite does it, like they bring Spider-Man in or something like that, right? And nobody cares. Like, they just want to be their favorite character. They bring it into some space and they all get to interact and play. And I think, that's more like the metaverse. As far as NFTs go, I do think they are misunderstood, that there is a basic business model innovation that they make possible in the same way that
I don't think I disagree with that. It's on the business model side, right? Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
I was saying I don't disagree with that. It is on the business model side where it's an innovation.
And like Strauss Zelnick, the CEO of Take-Two, he was at our conference and he said, hey, gamers like collecting things. Like they do it naturally and they find it to be fun. That's all this is. We're putting some wrapper around it so that you can actually own the things you collect. And so there's going to be games where that is going to be a big deal, right? And
I mean, there already are in some countries. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So actually owning stuff. And I think where the clash right now is there is a real clash, I think, that is existential for these NFT companies, which is that the gamers have revolted, right? And, it's the same kind of way where EA had to figure out what to do after the Battlefront 2 loot box scandal, right? Mm-hmm. And they actually made a comeback and they brought it in, but they could have easily folded and said, hey, everybody hates this. We're going to totally retreat, right? And I think that's possible right now as well. And so
it's probably going to be a different audience.
Have to clean up their act. We have to see AAA games. We have to get rid of scams. We have to get rid of things where you buy upfront and then maybe the game will come later, right? you know, this whole notion of limited NFT drops. Like you can buy your characters even before the game comes out. No. You should come out with the game first, and then you should introduce some characters that you could buy, right? And if the game is successful and fun, then you will get to play with those characters. But the risk of having characters that you buy and having the game never show up. That's a problem, right? And so
Yeah.
you have to have more consumer friendly practices that the mainstream game companies embrace, and they can bring those into this wild west frontier of crypto that can really sort of make that combination very interesting. Like, you get the innovation, and I do think, simple resistance from gamers is not going to push this away because of that whole follow the money idea. They raised
it would have to be it's going to be a filtering process where if this idea is actually good, it should be able to filter its way through a lot of criticism, and if the criticism will only make it better, and if it's actually anything, if there's anything good here, the criticism will reveal that, I think.
So they have these war chests, and they're pulling away game developers from the traditional companies, bringing them into the NFT game companies, and that could help with that whole transformation. So I'm not as down on it as everybody. I see both good and bad in this, and we'll see whether these big bets pay off or not. But the bets are involving billions of dollars right now.
Yeah.
I guess I would just resist the idea that this was the year of the NFTs just because it was so much more talk than anything else, though.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
you can't make a good game in 6 months, right? So
Well, I know.
these things aren't going to show up for a while.
Well, yeah. So we can wait. We can wait and see if there's going to be a good game that ever uses this stuff. Because even if there are games that make a lot of money, we'll see. Let's. I don't know, Rachel. Did we get your answer to what you think 2021 was?
No, mine was I thought it was the year of time loops.
I think you might
Because
actually be right.
so many time loop games, so
Yeah.
many, and I don't think that needs elaboration. But I just thought if this is well, put it this way, I'll just say this: I wonder what it was about this year that made us feel like we were reliving the same day over and over again. So,
and it's
or
like
that made a story like that relatable. Put it that way. So
and it's like, a lot of these games start long before that, but still, I think they all came to the finish line at the same time, and there is something about that where it's like, in 2020 we really realized that new experiences is what makes the passage of time actually feel like it's passing, and doing the same thing every day really does make you feel like you're in an actual time loop where you're just standing completely still, and having a bunch of games that express that were very powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, what we should do now.
For me, Halo Infinite had an unexpected time loop because I died so much in those boss fights that I felt like I was waking up on Groundhog Day.
Hitman was a time loop for me as well. The way I played it, Hitman, absolutely.
I felt like I promised somebody we were going to do a best remaster or something, and I just
yes, yeah, I think I did.
I wrote an article about it, so but
yeah, let's do it. Okay, let's do it. Let's do that, and we'll wrap it up. Okay, Mike, what's the best remaster of the year?
3D Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser Fury. You got a whole new mini campaign, and they made the original game even better. Monkey Ball was fun, also, and the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles was great because we never got those games before.
I think for me, I would probably go with Mass Effect Legendary Collection. I think that is introducing an entirely new generation of gamers. A lot of people who came in the last 5 years saying, "Hey, this is one of the best franchises ever. You guys should try that." I got a crying kid. Let me go deal with that, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah. Gosh, there was special shout out to the Castlevania Advanced Collection as well. That was a lot of good stuff there. Anybody else from the remaster side? I know I kind of threw out a lot.
Total War Rome Remastered. Already talked about it.
That's right. What about
Mass
the Grand Theft Auto love? Wow.
Mass Effect Legendary Edition for me too. Oh, and I also have heard, I haven't played it myself, but I've heard the Nier Replicant remaster was also pretty good.
Yeah,
but that probably qualifies more as a remake. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good remake. So that's
and then the Castlevania collection. If no one said that.
Yeah, I brought it up while you were doing it, kid. That was fantastic. Yeah, cool. All right, Jeff.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. That's gonna put a wrap on our Game of the Year podcast. We'll make sure we have our lists up on the site here pretty soon. So if you want to see our full top 10s or whatever we end up doing, definitely check that out. And if you are listening to this, we have regular episodes go up every week. There was an episode this week. Go ahead and check that out. That should be in the feed. If you're watching live, we're going to get back to finishing our episode real quick, and then we'll get to the weekend. Thank you, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
To our Metaverse event on January 25th, 26th, 27th.
Events.venturebeat.com. Definitely check that out if you are at all interested in any of that stuff. If you want to just hear what's going on.
Come visit us.
Yeah, come visit us. Come watch some of our panels and stuff. We have some of the best guests and some of the best presenters and stuff that you could possibly imagine. So come check that stuff out. Events.venturebeat.com. All right. Let's catch you guys next time. Catch you for next game of the year. Catch you next week for the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.